From the first permissionless Lido module, we're moving to the first historical Lido staking module, which is the foundation of Lido Core, and the curated module. So Sasha, who is the product lead at Lido Core, will guide you through the curated module V2 landscape, which was quite recently published on the research forum and is now being open for feedback and discussion. So Sasha, welcome.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Yeah, we're moving from permissionless module to permissioned one, historically permissioned one, which is going to stay permissioned, but still. Yeah. So today we'll talk about the next big step in Lido protocol's evolution, the curated module V2, or CMV2 as we call it. And as most of you know, the curated module currently secures over 90% of Lido total stake, which makes it the trusted operator backbone of the protocol. And now I think it is important to start with the why. Why we need to talk about this future, and should this future be different from its present state. So, on the side of the reasoning, I can say that it's pretty obvious that staking landscape is changing. That professional operators now compete globally, meaning like outside of the Lido protocol, with more flexible terms that they offer for their clients and stronger guarantees, while the curated module is not flexible enough to adapt for today's market. And CMV2, which we're going to talk about today, is our proposal to evolve the curated module to this new era while keeping it efficient, accountable, and closely aligned with Ethereum decentralized values. So now let's unpack a little bit what exactly I mean by not flexible enough and what needs to be like fixed or improved to make it more flexible and adaptable. So, first of all, I must admit that I personally think that CMV1 has done an incredible job, but it was designed for a different world. The static economics, meaning that it now has the fixed reward share, its rigid stake allocation when all the stake is distributed evenly across all of the node operators, and reliance on social reputations are reaching their limits at this point on the current market. Also, as a last point, the governance was pretty heavy because, as some of you know, the even such like small and pretty easy actions like changing the reward address of a node operator should go through the full on-chain vote. So, and now the main challenge is how do we modernize it without losing what made CMV1 successful? And here where CMV2 comes in. CMV2 is built around four guiding ideas, which is sustainability, competitiveness, alignment, and autonomy. And all the features that I'll talk about later on are reflecting these principles. But before we go to actual features that we want to introduce in the next iteration of the curated module, I want to touch upon the timelines. So the upgrade of the curated module is proposed to be delivered in two phases. Phase number one launches in Q2 2026 with the core changes as bonding, operator types, OXO2 support, and consolidations. The phase number two arrives later that year, bringing the concept of validator market that we'll unpack a little bit further. And this phase approach is done for the purpose of starting consolidations sooner than later, because according to our estimations, the consolidation process, in order to consolidate all the stake that currently sits in the curated module, it will take more than 4 months. So splitting the delivery of CMV2 into two releases will allow us to introduce features gradually so that our current node operators can adapt to these changes while coordinating a thorough migration process. So now it's time to dive in to the features, and we start with phase number one. So what we should expect in the nearest future. So here we have four main features we want to introduce, and we start with bond, which is the biggest practical shift for node operators. Now, instead of relying purely on reputation, each node operator provides a bond in the form of ETH, STs, or wrapped STs, which will eventually convert into staked ETH. So the bond is here to cover events like slashing, like extended downtime, or protocol rules violation that node operators can commit. The bond will sit at a node operator level, not a validator level, like it is done in CSM, in order to make coverage more efficient, meaning that when node operator uploads a key, it provides some portion of a bond. And in case of, say, slashing, not only this portion that was provided specifically for this key will be used, but the overall bond for this node operator. Now, since we introduced bond, there should be a way of how the protocol can utilize this bond. And this is like a feature that complements bonding mechanics. So here, the idea that the incidents are reported via EasyTrack to still keep this DAO oversight. And there is a challenge period and the bond deduction if the protocol violation rules was valid. Now, let's talk about operator types, and this is the idea that is already introduced in the upcoming fee change for the curated node operators. And this is like an idea of how protocol can recognize the diversity among node operators. We want to introduce 7 operator types, each with tailored incentives, performance leeway, and bond levels. At this point, it is important to know that every node operator entity can have multiple subnode operator types. So, for example, there can be an operator who runs a portion of their keys under a DVT setup, qualifying this part of their operations as intra-operator DVT cluster, while the rest of the keys will remain under the professional trusted operator type. Moving up next, CMV2 introduces the reward splitter. This is the pretty easy mechanism that allows node operator to distribute your rewards to multiple recipients. And this feature essentially simplifies integrations with DVT infrastructure providers like OBL and SSV, and also enables a contribution to public goods as a protocol guild. So it's a pretty well-known practice when node operators can voluntarily decide to allocate some portion of their rewards to contribute to public goods. And like in my current example, it's protocol guild. I think that this is it in terms of the features we want to introduce in the phase number 1 and the release number 1, which again is expected to arrive sometime in Q2 2026. And now let's look at phase number 2 and what it's going to bring to the Lido protocol. So here we have more features, and let's start diving into them one by one. So the first major feature is the introduction of custom fees. So instead of fixed fee that we see right now and that we're going to see in the nearest future for CMV1, node operators can define their own pricing. So this allows operators to express their real-world structures and allows the protocol to allocate stake more efficiently, balance DAO-defined limits with the operator-offered fee. So as a result of the introduction of this feature, we'll have more fair competition and more efficient stake distribution. So essentially, it means that the stake will be distributed, the stake weight the stake weight allocation will be different for those who set different fees as a part of the Lido protocol. Moving forward, what do we have next? Next, we have strike system. So this is like somewhat a new accountability layer for the curated module, and I would say that this is that kind of improvement that goes from 0 to 1. So currently, node operator performance is not accounted anyhow in the curated module. CSM has done a good job in terms of like tying this performance metric into node operator rewards. While in the curated module v2, we think what is going to be more efficient is to not directly tie it with the rewards, but make some misbehavior contribute to node operator weight. So rather than relying on a single incident penalties where we can say, hey, there is something going wrong with your node operator, your rewards will be deducted. The strike system will look at the overall behavior of the node operator, where each strike, for example, like poor performance or like protocol rules violation, reduces an operator's stake allocation weight within this big Walmart architecture. So if this issue persists, the node operator may eventually end up being ejected from the curated module. So this is something that makes like reliability a continuous metric for the protocol and for the node operators who are a part of this protocol. Moving up next, here we have bond reserve. The main idea is that operators who want to further align with stakers can post additional bond, most importantly, voluntary. So this is not something the protocol will necessarily ask, but this is something that can contribute to node operator stake allocation weight. So the more capital the node operator committed to back their node operators, the stronger alignment and the greater potential weight in this stake allocation. This is, again, pretty simple but powerful way to turn accountability into opportunity. Next up, we have LDO lock, which has something to do with governance participation. And the idea here is also pretty simple. Node operators can lock LDO and either vote themselves or delegate this part of LDO to be voted from someone else. And active participation in Lido governance would then positively affect their stake weight. This is finally a feature that will incentivize node operator to be engaged, to be more active in Lido DAO governance. And yes, finally, a validator market, which is the thing that puts together all the pieces, all the features I described before. It's a weighting system that dynamically adjusts stake based on transparent and measurable factors like fee curves, like performance history, like bond amount, and the governance engagement of the node operator. The model balances competition with decentralization caps defined by the Lido protocol, ensuring that no single operator dominates. So even in this system, and this is like a pretty common concern among node operators, that this system can basically allow one node operator to dominate. Here it is important to mention that even with the introduction of this system, there will be like ceilings for each node operator that will help to prevent the situation when any single operator dominates. Yes, so this is this big idea, and this is the reason why we want to introduce all the features I mentioned before. And now we have one more feature that is not directly related to Walmart, but this is something that can open the door to new integrations. Here, allow listed protocols such as DeFi partners or institutional clients will be able to deposit directly into a chosen operator or a group or a specific like subset of node operators, minting STs one-to-one. And this is like the main difference between ST vaults and these direct deposits to Lido Core, that customers will be able to still mint STs one-to-one. So this creates business-to-business staking use cases. So for example, depositing directly to DVT-based validators or pre-confirmation infrastructure. And yeah, so this will have control limits. That's why I mentioned that it will be like allow listed protocols will be allowed to directly deposit to the protocol, but will add flexibility to protocol integrations. So next, I want to quickly go through the operator lifecycle to see what is changing for operators. So first up, we have onboarding. There is not much to change. The onboarding is still going to be a permission process, and the operators who want to join curated module will still need to apply, but there will be no need for the Lido DAO to set these reward addresses by the DAO, by the full on-chain vote. Node operators will have functionality that will allow them to do it themselves, as well as change without going through a full DAO vote. Next up, keys uploading, and here we have like the biggest difference. Now node operators just upload their keys, but with the introduction of this bonding system, they will also need to provide bond for each key they are uploading. Stake allocation. So here we have two different mechanisms. So in phase number one, it will be mean first allocation strategy as it is now. And phase number one, which will bring us this Walmart concept, this Walmart mechanic, will be allocating stake according to the combination of the parameters we mentioned before, like node operator fee curve, node operator type, like the strike count, additional STs bond, and LDO locked. Rewards distribution. So now the rewards are distributed daily, while in the curated module v2, they will be distributed once a week or once in 2 weeks. It needs to be decided. And most importantly, node operator will be able to claim their rewards whenever they want. This was one of the main concerns in the feedback. We asked node operators to provide us that different node operators have different flows of how they manage their rewards, and there are pretty big difference in terms of their tax accounting. So that's why we want to give them flexibility here to allow them to claim rewards whenever they want in a way that like better aligns with their accounting, basically. Yeah, now about migration a little bit. So migration from the current version of the curated module to a new version will be done gradually through consolidations, keeping both modules active to avoid any disruptions. So again, two main points. Both of the versions of the module will live for some time, and the migration will be happening through consolidation, meaning that all the validators in the curated module v2 will be OXO2 validators. And yeah, I guess that is it. So here's the QR code on the screen where you can find the recent proposal that we posted on the research forum, where we are collecting feedback from node operators. And at this point, we really want to hear opinion of our node operators and maybe some potential node operators who want to join to see the common sentiment among the node operators community to be able to shape the future of the curated module v2 together. And with that said, I am ready to wrap my presentation up and go to the questions if there are any.
Yeah, we have a few questions from the audience. So David is asking, wouldn't this automatically lead to run to the bottom cost-wise? And this is related to the ability for node operators to set custom fee curves.
Yeah. This is a very good question, and this is a pretty common question from node operators. Maybe I haven't been clear enough to explain that, but yes, this is one of the biggest concern that when we account for custom fees that node operators can set in our stake allocation, it can potentially lead to a race to the bottom. But there are a couple of ideas and mechanisms we want to implement to prevent this from happening. So number one is that for sure, even now we have this caps for each node operator, and our rule of thumb is that none of the node operators should run more than 1% of total Ethereum stake within the Lido protocol, and this will be true even with the introduction of the curated module v2. Yes. We want to introduce the competition component, but it will be limited anyway. So this is one of the way how we can prevent it from happening, because at certain point when a node operator reaches a certain stake share, there is no more sense to keep competing on the fees, which will stop this competition at some point. Another idea is that we are exploring the idea of creating like a safe space for node operator, where in the beginning they are not competing, providing them a certain portion of stake where competition does not exist. So saying that all of the node operators can validate at a highest possible reward share that is allowed by DAO, and only after, like, ensuring that they have money to keep running their infrastructure, to keep running their staff who supports this infrastructure. And after a certain point, the competition starts. This is also something that minimizes the chances of this race to bottom.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And we have another question. Will there be calculations that include performance and other factors, or will this operator price curve be the primary determinant of who is allocator, validators or stake?
Yeah. So when we speak about this overall weight, stake weight that node operators can get, that is calculated based on these numbers, I would say that current idea that figures will be the determinant factor in terms of this stake allocation, in terms of how many stake each node operator can get. So the biggest priority will be at fee side that was customly set by a node operator, but also we want to create this idea of strikes, meaning that if a node operator has one strike, maybe nothing happens, it was just a heads up, hey, something is going wrong with your infrastructure, you had an extended downtime or something. But if this issue persists and we see that node operator violates the rules, or there is an extended downtime for this node operator, each strike will allow node operator to have less and less and less and less stake. But in terms of priority, custom fees will have the highest priority in the stake allocation, while performance issues will definitely affect it. Will just definitely affect it. Say if there are two strikes, the total amount of stake that can be allocated to this node operator goes down to like 10% or 20%. So this is how we want to tie performance into the stake allocation.
Okay, we have one last question, and I feel people have more questions, so we will link again the forum post at the end of the call. But yeah, from Gvist, how much bond per operator or key?
Yeah, hi GBS, by the way. Okay, so we are aiming to post the analysis that we've done around the size of the bond. So I guess in like coming days, like maximum a week, we will see this proposal from our analytics team on the research forum. But I would say it's like way lower than it is in CSM. We want to introduce the same mechanics that as a bond for the first key, node operators should submit like a significant portion of their bond, while the rest of the keys will be like really small. So I would say that overall, it won't, for the current amount of keys all node operators run in our each node operator runs in the curated module, it at current calculations won't exceed 100 ETH.
Okay, that's all that we have time for today. So thanks, Sasha, again for the presentation, for all the details.